At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Reid Robison, Chief Medical Officer and Director of Novamind Inc., which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol NVMDF and on the CSC under the symbol NM. Welcome, Reid.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reid Robison, Chief Medical Officer at Novamind. I'm a psychiatrist, and I started my career early in academics and became quickly discouraged by limitations of available mental health treatment options because, as you may be well aware, many conventional treatments just work so slowly and sometimes don't help much at all. So it became my quest to find better solutions. I started working with ketamine and other psychedelics over 10 years ago, and I can tell you that there's hope on the horizon. I've never seen anything as effective as psychedelic medicines for mental health conditions, and we're finally starting to see treatment tools that are more effective, faster acting, and even get to the root cause of mental health conditions, often without needing to take a daily pill. So the results are quite striking, and the challenge is now how to open up access to individuals who need it. So I set out to bring these kinds of treatments to people who need them most when I co-founded Cedar Psychiatry and Cedar Clinical Research several years ago that were both acquired by Novamind in 2020. And let's see. At Novamind, we're on a mission to bring innovative, evidence-based mental health treatments to all people. And we have a growing network of mental health clinics and research sites focused on addressing this big need for evidence-based treatment options. And we have a special expertise in psychedelic medicine and are building the infrastructure for this new chapter in mental health. Psychedelic-assisted therapy in particular represents a big departure from the current standard of mental health care. It requires not just the special infrastructure that most practitioners and clinics don't have, but special training as well. And when you add to that an explosion of new therapeutic candidates coming down the pipeline that require research sites and special researchers with training in this, you've got a huge need and a huge opportunity. So we have 5 clinics open now, 3 more coming soon, and our research sites are co-located with our clinics to enable patient recruitment from our large and diverse population. Patients benefit from access to new treatment options both in clinic and in our research sites. We're revenue generating and we're growing fast. So the mental health revolution that we're currently in is, in my opinion, long overdue. And the pandemic has just really further highlighted the urgent need for better mental health solutions. And it's really a global mental health crisis. Depression is more common than cancer, more prevalent than heart disease, and more than half of people with depression don't receive adequate treatment. When they do, the traditional treatments just don't always work. But thankfully, as I mentioned, we're starting to see less stigma towards mental health and also more widespread acceptance of psychedelics as therapeutic options. And there is this growing body of evidence suggesting that a number of these compounds hold strong therapeutic potential to accelerate the treatment process and the healing potential. So at Novamind, we're rolling out the infrastructure required for this new era of psychedelic medicine by building real-world clinics paired with real-world research sites. And our clinics are based in Utah now, and as we've built and tested this model, we're preparing to scale. And we're really committed to responsibly shaping the future of psychedelic medicine and improving the landscape of mental health care. So about 1 in every 5 or 6 Americans takes an antidepressant every day, and while they're helpful for many, the response rates of these currently available treatments leave so many people still suffering. And people want to know how they can access these new treatment modalities in a safe and effective way, like ketamine and Spravato, for example. Our clinics deliver both traditional mental health treatments along with newer treatment modalities like ketamine-assisted psychotherapy and Spravato, or S-ketamine, that was approved by the FDA in 2019 for treatment-resistant depression, along with other treatment modalities like transcranial magnetic stimulation as an FDA-cleared treatment option that's a medical device, a non-medicine option for depression. And what's coming down the pipeline is extremely exciting. Mdma, for example, the studies are not only showing effectiveness, but sustained effectiveness. Phase 3 trials are underway, and MAPS reported preliminary results from the first part of their phase 3 work and showed that nearly 70% of the MDMA cohort no longer qualified for a PTSD diagnosis a couple months later, compared to about 30% of the placebo group. And psilocybin, to give another example, in recent studies found that depressive symptoms were reduced rapidly and sustained over time in patients with treatment-resistant depression who received just 2 doses of psilocybin plus therapy. And as a psychiatrist, 2 doses of medicine plus psychotherapy resulting in this type of change is incredibly exciting. So we are truly on a mission to reduce suffering and optimize wellness in individuals struggling with mental health conditions. And we're growing and scaling to meet the mental health needs of the populations we serve. And we have a multi-state expansion plan across the U.S. that we'll look forward to sharing details about soon. And as you can see here, we've offered over 7,000 ketamine therapy treatments, over 2,800 Spravato doses, and growing. The one thing I'm really excited about is, let me advance here. One thing I'm really excited about is our Park City location coming soon. We're opening a new type of clinic that will offer immersive psychedelic experiences based on an intensive therapeutic retreat model. It gets people outside of their daily routines and environments, lets them focus on doing the work of healing and growth. And this approach can also leverage the power of groups. And so we'll be sharing more details on that initiative shortly as well. Novamind has a research arm called Cedar Clinical Research that provides clinical research services for pharmaceutical and biotech companies and other research institutions. With extensive experience in the design and execution of clinical trials, we work with these partners on a number of studies across a wide range of CNS indications. We're proud to be hosting clinical trials that help bring these new medicines to market. So we've been selected as a key research site for clinical trials with leading drug developers like Merck, Otsuka, Bionomics, and our pipeline of clinical trials continues to grow. And with the recent surge in drug candidates in development in psychiatry, especially in the psychedelic medicine sector, the field really does need specialized infrastructure to support the unique needs of these psychedelic clinical research studies. So it really is a win-win to have this research arm paired with our clinic services so that drug developers can lean on our expertise in this area paired with our large and growing patient population to help accelerate their drug development work and offer emerging treatment options to our clients via these research studies. So we've entered this new era in mental health. In fact, MDMA-assisted psychotherapy that I mentioned is in phase 3 clinical trials via fast track designation with the FDA. And this represents the first potential approval of a medicine plus psychotherapy that the FDA is tasked with evaluating. And it's also based on this recent clinical trial data from some of the phase 3 and from phase 2 as well. It may be one of the first curative interventions in psychiatry because you're seeing the majority of participants in studies no longer even meeting criteria for PTSD. And we have, as I mentioned, special expertise in psychedelic-assisted psychotherapies and have been working with ketamine as a medicine in this way for a number of years. And I'll share a little bit of what a ketamine-assisted psychotherapy treatment course looks like. So ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, or CAP, consists of preparatory sessions or a preparatory session with screening, consent, evaluation of past medical and psychiatric history, treatment goals, and then the dosing sessions start with an intention setting and with some processing of the experience. And these medicines, the classic psychedelics and medicines like ketamine and MDMA are linked to more cognitive flexibility, an ability to disrupt deeply ingrained patterns and accelerate the therapeutic process. And then the next step in the CAP treatment course is an integration session where we work with the clients to explore that psychedelic experience and bring insights from that into day-to-day life. And so the model we've developed enables us to provide these treatment options in a cost-effective way, a safe and trusted setting to address the specific needs of these different patient populations. And we can also use our research capabilities to study these in real time. One example that hits home for me is a clinical pilot program we recently announced for frontline healthcare workers. We call it Frontline CAP, because the risk of burnout in healthcare professionals is really high, and especially as mental health needs have become more urgent in the pandemic. And in this pilot, we've developed a ketamine-assisted psychotherapy protocol in a group setting to leverage the power of the social connection, helping people see that they aren't alone in this. And it's this type of thing that we're piloting and then can roll out more broadly in our clinics and share with the field. Okay. Let's see. We have the team to make it happen. Yaron, our CEO, has over 20 years of venture capital investing and operating experience, including founder and CEO roles in companies across different and very relevant emerging sectors. Pierre, our COO, previously served as Chief Operating Officer of Life Labs, a diagnostic company that he helped scale exponentially to an industry leader with over 5,700 employees and over 350 patient service centers. And Dr. Paul Thielking, who recently joined as our Chief Scientific Officer, came from academia where he led first of its kind group psilocybin therapy for cancer patients in a research setting, along with a number of innovative ketamine-assisted psychotherapy initiatives. And here's a look at our scientific advisory board as well as our board of directors. And we see great value in collaborating with key thought leaders in the space to further important initiatives. And everyone's handpicked for strategic projects and initiatives at Novamind that you can expect to hear more about these collaborations in the future. So Novamind is a publicly listed company in Canada and the US, and we're part of a sector that's working on changing the world. Like, this public listing has allowed us to access capital to grow our clinic and research network. And these are truly exciting times in psychiatry. There's a psychedelic renaissance that's here, and evidence keeps growing, and in my opinion, it's undeniable that these tools can be extremely helpful and even life-saving for some, including for some of the most difficult to treat mental health conditions. And the challenge now is opening up access to individuals who need it most. And that's what we do at Novamind, by building clinics, research sites that bring psychedelic therapies into everyday healthcare. And so we see our role at Novamind as being that doorway to a transformative path of healing and growth. So thank you for listening. I think now we'll move on to the Q&A section. I'll start with by reading the first question, and we'll see if we can address at least a few of these. The deck states that Novamind is expanding nationally in anticipation of FDA approvals for Mdma and psilocybin psychotherapy. Are you targeting jurisdictions where psychedelic medicines have already been approved for use, or will you be able to operate where psychedelic medicines have not yet been approved? And I like this question because, we are treating people today. We're using evidence-based and currently available treatment modalities, including psychedelic-assisted psychotherapies via ketamine. When Spravato, or S-ketamine, was approved by the FDA, that Janssen brought to market, we made the decision to offer it in our clinics. We were the first to give it in the state of Utah and helped forge the path with the insurance companies and payers, figuring out billing codes and leveraging whatever resources we could to offer it to our clients. And we've given, as I mentioned, over 2,800 doses of that medicine since. So we're generating revenue now. We're built on a mental health service model that doesn't rely on or need to wait for the approval of MDMA or psilocybin. That being said, because we offer these psychedelic-assisted psychotherapies like ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, we have the infrastructure, the clinicians, including prescribers and therapists, able to work in this way, in this new paradigm in mental health of a combined medicine plus therapy for rapid and improved treatment response. And the next question, you mentioned expansion via both organic growth and M&A. Are there many psychedelic-focused clinic acquisition targets available, or would you be looking to acquire standard mental healthcare facilities and transforming them into specialized psychedelic medicine clinics? And I would say to that, both. There aren't many specialized psychedelic medicine clinics out there, but there are a number of, mostly small but very skilled clinics doing ketamine-assisted psychotherapy, and so those are an example of a very relevant acquisition target. There are also some, even less, but some psychedelic medicine research sites that are also clinics. But we also are working with potential acquisition targets that are standard mental health clinics with a great foundation in place where we can layer on that expertise in psychedelic medicine. And we, having worked with ketamine for over a decade, and with our volume and tried and tested model, we can really provide training to clinicians. We do it all the time for our organic growth, and we can do that with clinics we acquire as well. And the next question it seems like more psychedelic-focused companies are opening up retreats and clinics of their own. What differentiates Novamind clinics from the others? Now, that's a great question. So we are not, as I mentioned in a previous question, we're not reliant on the approval of, these psychedelic medicines coming down the pipeline like MDMA and psilocybin. We're treating people today. We leverage insurance whenever possible, and we're focused on opening up access to these treatment modalities to the broader population, bringing psychedelic medicine into everyday healthcare through the existing mental health system. And as you can see from our metrics, that is progressing, very efficiently, growing fast. We did over 20,000 client visits last year, and that continues to grow. Okay, I'll take a couple other questions here. Fast forwarding to the point when MDMA is FDA approved, will Novamind be integrating it into the current clinics and give patients the option between CAP and MDMA, or will you keep the two entirely separate? It's another great question. It will look like it does now when someone comes into our clinic because they have mental health needs. They seek us out or they're referred. We do a thorough psychiatric evaluation, and through that intake process, the clinicians, or well-trained clinicians, explore with the client all the available options, and that might be ketamine-assisted psychotherapy that isn't covered by many insurances. That might be Spravato if they have treatment-resistant depression, or Spravato was also more recently approved by the FDA for depression with suicidal ideation. And so if they have one of those indications, then that might be an option, and that might be covered by their insurance, for example. And when MDMA, if it gets approved for PTSD on this current drug development pathway, that will be an option for clients presenting with post-traumatic stress disorder, for example. And we do offer traditional medications, talk therapy, as well as these other innovative evidence-based modalities, and it will look about the same when these are approved. We'll just have more and a growing list of options. And it's important to note that these psychedelic medicines coming down the pipeline will very likely be given under a tightly regulated system like Spravato is. Spravato has a REMS, or Risk Evaluation Management System, that requires that the clinics register, the providers register, the pharmacies register, and then the clinics register each patient they give it to, and it's delivered in office. And following the rules and guidelines that were approved by the FDA, and it's my guess that MDMA and psilocybin will have similar programs, and it will need to be given in clinics with the expertise and infrastructure that we're working on rolling out now in preparation for that, because we're delivering treatments that lean on that type of infrastructure now already. So next question. Can you provide some details on your relationship with pharma companies such as Merck and Karuna? And for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'd encourage you to look at our press releases where we share these things as they unfold, and as we're selected as research sites or partners of these organizations. But these are drug developers, pharma and biotech companies studying medicines on a path to FDA approval, and The Merck study is a treatment-resistant depression study, and we were selected as a key site there. Same with Karuna that we recently announced. That's a new mechanism, a new treatment option being evaluated for schizophrenia, addressing an unmet need there. So we get approached by pharma and biotech companies at different stages, either early in the process to help with protocol design, the regulatory pathway, or work as a site on phase 1, 2, 3, or even 4 studies in both child and adolescent populations and adult populations across a wide range of neuropsychiatric indications. We currently are conducting clinical trials in PTSD, for example. We recently did a borderline personality disorder study. We're doing studies in Tourette syndrome in children and adolescents, depression, and with more coming down the pipeline, both psychedelic medicine and traditional or non-psychedelic research studies. And let's see. I'll take one more question. So, how much does insurance pay for treatment for clients? And this is a tricky question to answer. We offer both traditional medication and psychotherapy treatment options, as I mentioned, and these new treatment modalities as they become available. Whether they're covered by insurance or not. Ketamine is one example where we've worked hard to make it as accessible as possible while continuing to maintain a high quality of care, and we have one of the most affordable ketamine-assisted psychotherapy options out there, as evidenced by the growing demand for it. And Spravato, on the other hand, of those 2,800 plus doses, every one of them was leveraging a client's insurance because it's an expensive, as a recently approved medicine, it would be very expensive cash pay. And thankfully, there are patient assistance programs that Janssen has offered that we have leveraged countless times, where a Janssen program will pay all but $5 of the patient's copay, assuming their insurance kicks in for at least some amount, and they'll pay up to, thousands of dollars of that each year for a number of treatments, and then clients just pay their office copay or to come in and receive that medicine because it has to be given in office. And then the insurance rates for other services, for everything, really varies depending on insurance plan and region and the provider type. But we offer the service to our clients via either route. Like, if you have insurance, great, we'll make use of it wherever we can. If not, no problem. You can still access our services, and we keep those as accessible, affordable as possible. And with that, we are out of time, but thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your excellent questions. It's been great to be here with you.